All right, and we're back for another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and Game Stores. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our shows, and if you can, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, follow, or do anything that you can to support us right here at the Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, Game Source, the Lakerholics at Lakerholics.com, and of course, our great friends at the Hoopheads Podcast Network. It is sincerely appreciated. Well, welcome back. It's been a busy week for me, coming back from the islands, the beautiful islands of Hawaii, and I'm just so glad to be here. I've shaved off my Robinson Crusoe beard. You notice I said Caruso in honor of the guy that's no longer here with our team. Jamie is very mad at me right now, Admiral Akbar himself, because he's now stroking the beard that I no longer have. But you know what? I wanted to go ahead and stay on the good side of my family, so I did take it off. So I'm really happy that I now am allowed back into the house and able to do the show. So I truly appreciate everyone out there. I am back. Thank you so much for, in the 2 weeks I was away, for allowing me to go ahead and put up some great interviews. And for those who were part of it, the Lakerholics crew, Jamie Sweet, Joe Sorrell, cannot thank you enough for being a part of those great shows. They did very well numbers-wise, and I truly appreciate it. And it's all because of you, the listeners out there, that's the case. And I cannot thank you enough for taking the time, even in the off-season, when everybody's talking about schools, when they're talking about work, when they're talking about vacations, that they still took time to go ahead and listen to us right here at the Lakers Fast Break. But we got a little bit to talk about on today's show. The end of the Marc Gasol era, once again, has now happened. Marc Gasol, who at the end of the Olympics, the tail end, indicated that he would be coming back and wanted the last year of his contract picked up by the Lakers. So he indicated he would be coming back to the team. But in recent weeks, there was kind of a cloud and a question whether or not that would be the case, because there were more and more hints and rumors that Marc Gasol actually would be better, or was for himself and his family, if he was going to stay in Spain, because he was thinking and pondering that maybe he should stay in Spain. And ultimately, he indicated to the Lakers in recent days that he is going to stay in Spain, at least for the time being. I think he's working out, as far as a team is concerned, that either owns a part of an ownership stake in, or he's going to be doing something with his brother overseas in Spain, working out on the team and whatnot. And he may come back at some point in time to the NBA for one more season. But for now, he is in Spain with his family, because he was traded over, his rights were traded over to the Grizzlies and also along with the Grizzlies, that was traded, I think, a second round pick and some cash were traded to the Memphis Grizzlies. In return, the Lakers got the rights to a Chinese player that I would be very curious about. 7-footer, 250 pounds, about 27 years old. Actually, earlier today, my good friend, Mr. Rafael Barlow, who will be an upcoming guest on a show that's coming up in the near future, he actually spoke very highly of. And so I want to go ahead and get everybody out the word out there that Wang Zhelin is the individual who we have the rights for in trade from Gasol. This is the second time that the team has traded Marc Gasol. Remember, way back when in the Pau Gasol trade, he was traded for the rights to his brother, because his brother was still playing overseas at the time. But Marc Gasol has had a great career, and he, should be lauded for it. Appreciated his time with the Lakers. But here today to talk about the end of the Marc Gasol era, before it really began, and also the replacement that they made in, I guess, response to this, because I'm assuming that the Lakers got some sort of sniff that this was going to happen, because they went out and after the Brooklyn Nets traded DeAndre Jordan for other considerations, just to really get the money off the books, to Detroit. Detroit waived him. The Lakers quickly signed him up, I think, with the impetus on that, and this is the way that they want to move to, as far as that's concerned, reminding people of what worked for them, or at least what they think worked for them in 2020 in the bubble era. But here today to talk about that and the arrival of DeAndre Jordan are three great guests indeed. First up is the mastermind behind LakerHolics.com. It is LakerTom, and LakerTom, goodbye Marc Gasol, hello DeAndre Jordan, and hello a return to the style that, yes, it did ultimately get the Lakers a championship, but I know it's the kind of like the style that you wanted to get away from, because it just gives you now another big guy on the team that's going to take more minutes away from Anthony Davis at the 5.
Yeah, that's always my concern every time we look to add a center to the roster. I'm glad this was a trade, if you will, where we got rid of one guy when we brought in DeAndre Jordan. Had they kept Gasol, I would be very concerned, because then we'd be back into the same situation we found ourselves last year, which was 3 full-time centers plus Anthony Davis. As a consequence, Anthony paid 10% of the time in the regular season at center and just 20% in the playoffs. That was a dramatic decrease from 40% of the time in the regular season in our championship year and 60% of the time at center in the playoffs for the championship that year. So it's an interesting scenario, because there obviously are factions in the Lakers fandom who don't want to see don't want to see a traditional center start and want to see the Lakers have Anthony Davis start. And the talk in the preseason about how Davis had agreed to play a lot more minutes at center in order to allow for more shooting to get onto the floor has raised a lot of hopes that that's where the Lakers will go. There's a lot of people, I think Gerald expressed the same opinion in his introduction, that a feeling that what the Lakers are trying to do is to repeat the same center formula that won them the championship in 2019 and 20. And that's basically to have, let's say, either Dwight Howard or DeAndre Jordan start and play 6 to 8 minutes at the start of the game and the start of the second half, just basically as a minutes eater, so that there's fewer minutes that Anthony Davis has to play against the 5. And when you think that they got rid of Marc Gasol and brought in Jordan, there's an argument to be made that that's a reason, that's evidence that the Lakers are going to go back to that same formula. I happen to think that's not evidence of that. I think it's evidence that the Lakers really want to have a rim protector on the floor at all times. And you can't do that with Marc Gasol, because he just doesn't have the lift to really protect the rim correctly. I also think, too, that you can't ignore the reality that if you have 3 superstars on this team, none of whom are more than average three-point shooters at best, that you need to dedicate the other 2 spots to guys who can shoot the 3 so we can create spacing. So I happen to think that getting rid of Gasol, who is the only other potential floor spacer, is an indication that at the least we're going to see a lot more minutes of Anthony Davis at the center, even if he doesn't start. I happen to think that there's a good chance that he still will start, and a lot of it will depend on what we see from Dwight Howard and DeAndre Ayton in the training camp and preseason. They're going to have to either show that they can really play a dominant role in the first 6 to 8 minutes of each half, or Anthony Davis is going to be forced to start the game. And my bet, my hope, I guess, is probably a more appropriate term, is that the Lakers will realize this, and we'll see Davis play primarily mostly his minutes at center at the start and the end of each half. I think that that's the proper role for him. It's the position he plays best. The Lakers are at their best when they do it. Jovan Buha, the Lakers reporter for The Athletic, basically said that he also felt that the acquisition of Jordan and letting Gasol go was another positive sign that the Lakers may finally be accepting the reality that they need Anthony Davis to start at the 5. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. We'll see what happens in camp. I don't think there's a chance in the world that DeAndre Jordan starts. I think that if we went with a route of taking a traditional center, Dwight Howard would be a much better defender at this point in time and a much better dunker at this point in time than Jordan would be. But
that's so funny because you say that, and the fact is Jordan is younger and has played less years in the league. But then again, we all saw him at Brooklyn, so we all
2 years ago. 2 years ago, he dunked 253 times and led the league. 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, he barely made 100 dunks.
He's had some serious
He is not the same. He is not the same Lob City dunker and shot blocker that he was back then.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely not disagreeing.
And Dwight had some problems in Philadelphia too, and he basically one of the reasons he wasn't heavily recruited to go back to Philadelphia was because he really did not play to the level that he played with the Lakers. You never know what you're going to get with old guys, and fit becomes a really critical thing. It's a tough situation for centers in the NBA today because the position is changing almost instantly every season, and you see guys left and right now who are traditional centers having to learn how to shoot. I mean, Marc Gasol never took a three the first 4 or 5 years that he played, just the same as Brook Lopez, and yet these are guys that basically adapt to try to lengthen their career, to try to resurrect their career and so forth. And that's almost a challenge that everybody in the center position has to do. So there's no doubt that, the big argument I get from everybody all the time is what does it matter? What does it really matter if DeAndre Jordan plays 6 to 8 minutes at the start of each half? I remember last year, a lot of the time we ended the first quarter behind in points. And we ended the first half, started the second half with the same troubles. And then I think there's also the challenge of playing one style. And for example, Anthony Davis playing a different position during the regular season. And then all of a sudden in the playoffs, he jacks it up and he has to play center position. It's a big discussion and a big conversation going on Twitter as to what is the most dangerous position for Anthony Davis to play? Is it the 4 or is it the 5? And it's not really the position, it's the types of plays. It's like the injuries with LeBron. Getting some guy swinging into your leg and taking your leg out is not something that you'd normally have happen at any position. It's just one of those fluke things. So it's more, and Davis injured himself while he was playing the 5, but while driving from outside as if he was playing a 4. So it's a lot of it. It's a hard thing to predict as to what really is the safer position for him to play. I like the simple fact that I'd rather have him go 1-against-1 against a center than 2-against-1 when he's a power forward and also has the other team's center guarding him. So we'll see what happens. It's a big question that remains to be decided in training camp, as well as it's probably the decision that determines who starts, because if you start Dwight Howard, for example, then you pretty well better have Ellington as your shooter that you put in the game, because he's the guy who's going to be the most prolific shooter that you've got. But if you don't start somebody like Dwight Howard, then maybe you're better off to go to, a combination of guys who can shoot threes and play defense, and we've got a couple of guys who can do that pretty well. If Ariza can really still show that he still has that ability to be a strong wing defender, you take him and Bazemore, and your defense is not going to hurt very much at all. And in fact, if you add rim protection to the perimeter defense that we have now, I think we can even be better defensively next year. So it's a great topic. I'm in the process of writing an article on the same topic, so it was appropriate. And I'll keep my fingers crossed, even though nobody except myself believes that Anthony Davis is going to start at center for the Lakers.
Yeah, that laughing is provided to you by Admiral Jamie Sweet. If you want to hear more, you want to just go ahead and check out Lakerholics.com, because the conversation is always flowing there. and also the laughing at each other, both LakerTom at us and
Jamie and
us
I
at LakerTom.
probably respond to each other's emails more than or each other's posts more than anybody else in the blog.
100%.
Yep,
100%.
100% indeed. But also here today to talk about the trade and the ending of the Marc Gasol era, and also as well to talk about what we're going to do with DeAndre Jordan. I have a feeling they're going to start him. I just have this feeling they're going to. I'm not exactly calling it the best thing in the world. I'm just saying that with the track record we've seen from Frank Vogel and the fact that they liked Dwight Howard coming off the bench, I'm just saying JaVale McGee 2.0 will be DeAndre Jordan. I have a feeling. I'm just not liking it. But here today to talk about it, as far as the trade is concerned, that's Marc Gasol that went to the Grizzlies today with a 2024 second-round pick and some cashola to help the Grizzlies out. And in return, Wang Zhelin from China, who I'm hoping we'll get a chance to see one day because he's still 27. And I heard, like I said, from a good friend, Rafael Barlow, maybe a good backup 7-footer. You never know. But here today to talk about the end of the Marc Gasol era and the, I guess, debut of the DeAndre Jordan era. Lob City once again, maybe, hopefully, might be. I know. Is a good man indeed, but you got to check out what he does as our Lakers historian at LakerHolics.com. It is the Magic Man, Sean Grice. Looking like a fashion model, indeed. There you go. As I said before the show, Simu Liu, he's making a ton of cash right now, starring in Shang-Chi because he couldn't make anything as those stock models. He only made he said he got paid $100 just to pay some credit bills, and he signed his likeness away forever. So now he's all over the place for just because now he's famous. But my friend, great to have you here. Looking sharp, my friend. What do you have to say about the end of Marc Gasol and the beginning of DeAndre Jordan?
Why, thank you very much, Mr. Glassford, and welcome
Or
back.
he could be the thing.
So sort of bittersweet with this one. It's disappointing things didn't work out with Mark. I thought that fell a lot on Vogel more than Gasol himself.
Drummond is what it fell on.
Yeah.
Drummond did it.
And the new DeAndre Jordan era. Yeah, I think you're right, Gerald. I think you're connecting the dots correctly there from a rational point of view. I think he may well indeed end up starting, which is disappointing too. I mean, I'm not a fan of his right now.
There's a reason he's not palling around with his best friends for life in Brooklyn.
Yeah, no. Gerald, at some point...
And that they don't seem broken up, that he's gone off the team either. You notice that correlation.
Yes, and you have to think that at some point, Steve Nash invited KD down to his house in Manhattan Beach and basically told him, look, I know you like this guy and your friends, but he's washed. And I can't play him in serious minutes with you, Kyrie, on the floor. And at that point, I don't think James Harden had entered into the equation. But with Harden's acquisition, it made it easier to make DeAndre dispensable. I mean, he wasn't needed at that point.
Well, it's so funny because you don't hear the outcry from either of the guys, Irving or Durant, like you did with LakerTom's best friend, Jared Dudley, when he didn't get picked up by the Lakers. And you know what? I'm sad that he didn't get picked up by the Lakers as a coach. Now, as a player, thank goodness, because these 2 roster spots that are open, I'm glad that we could fill, well, actually 3 roster spots. I'm glad one of them was filled up by Rajon Rondo instead of Jared Dudley.
Yes.
And I never thought in a million years I would say that until the NBA bubble, but that's I digress. But I want to just say right now that, you saw LeBron getting all upset with Jared Dudley leaving. You didn't hear that with Brooklyn. So I am very afraid of what kind of product we're going to get out there when DeAndre, like LakerTom says, he's just going to be more frustrated game in, game out, because we're going to be constantly behind in the first and third quarters as far as losing those quarters for that period of time is concerned. So I'm really worried about that. But your thoughts?
I expressed the same concerns as both of you gentlemen in regards to that. I mean, it's a tall order. This is a competitive league, and if you stumble and fall behind, it takes a lot of energy to come back. And you're right, Gerald, with the DJ playing, oh my God, anywhere from 8 to 16 minutes. That could be definitely in the red for us. I don't think a point differential will exist where DeAndre Jordan is a plus.
Yeah, that's the problem I have with it as well. But also here today to talk about what's going on with this trade and also the future with DeAndre Jordan is a good man indeed. He's our own Admiral Akbar. You got to go ahead and catch his awesome articles as 5 things in that column right there at Lakerholics.com. It is Jamie Sweet, the man who, and I'm thinking with him and I might be doing some late night stuff because we enjoyed it during the past. Might be doing some more late night stuff here as far as some late night shows and whatnot. So I'm looking forward to that. But my friend, great to have you here. So sorry I disappointed you by getting out of the Beard Club, but I wanted to go ahead and talk to you now about. I know, see, he's dejected already, but DeAndre Jordan, I think you're more dejected about having DeAndre Jordan on the team than you are really, and Marc Gasol being gone than actually me losing my beard. Or could that be the case?
No, I'm a little. The beard weighs more heavily on my psyche than the departure of Gasol or DeAndre Jordan. Us beardies. There's always so many beardies out there, so we got to stick together.
It was itching me like crazy,
Gerald, like a dirty rat.
I'm going like this, itching the whole time. That's itching me. I don't know how you do it.
Is the beard brotherhood like the bald brotherhood?
Exactly.
I'm not joining. I don't want to join that one. I'm not joining that one. Sorry.
They go hand in hand, I think.
That's definitely not true. And that's not true in my case. I don't. I must be the redheaded stepchild, one or the other one.
You're still young. How's your dad? How's your dad doing?
He's still alive.
How's the hair?
It's still good.
Bald?
No, we get mistaken for brothers every once in a while. I actually look older than him. He's been a vegetarian and a yoga teacher since I was born.
Great.
So he did not put his body through some of the wear and tear that I put my body through in every sense of the word. And so in some cases, he gets mistaken for the younger brother.
You have a chance not to join the bearded balls.
Which makes me think I've got a great shot at the AARP single scene. I feel like I can really, should it never come to that, I think I could probably. Really
my dad lived to 101, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
There you go. That's a goal. That's a goal. In terms of Marc Gasol, I have to agree with the notion that was as much on Vogel and the signing of Drummond and really just the weird season that we had. He, I think, played fewer than 30 games with AD and LeBron. And that's I kind of look at that for every Laker who wasn't on the team last year that's moved on. I look at that as like, well, we don't really know how it actually could have worked, right? Because AD was hurt for most of the season. LeBron was hurt for the most important parts of the season. And it's just I give that team an incomplete grade. We'll never really know. I won't begrudge them that much. I think they all did their best of their abilities. I thought that as an organization in general, we kind of took a little bit of a step back last season. I think a lot of that was due to the quick turnaround. I think, from the front office down, there was just not a lot of time really to even celebrate an incredible accomplishment. Never got a parade, never got to vent, never got, there's so many of the things that came with getting a championship in the bubble that team never got to experience. And then it was like, and now you're back to work. Let's get it done. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
and that was it. I mean, that was how it went, for the Lakers and for the Heat. So, and I thought you saw the same thing with the Heat last season, where they just kind of came out of the gates like, oh, okay, yeah, we're doing this, huh? Okay, this is a lot of work. Like, it's a lot to prep for an NBA season, and it's a lot to keep your body going throughout an NBA season, and to do it with that short a turnaround, I thought, was a huge hill that would have taken a tremendous amount of luck for the Lakers to overcome, and they didn't. So I wish Marc Gasol well. I've always liked Marc Gasol. The Gasol brothers' style of basketball is, I think, a very pure and organic style of basketball that's team-oriented, not self-oriented or motivated by accomplishing a statistical goal of any kind, really. They just like to win, and they'll do whatever it takes to do it. And they like to get others involved, and I always like players that like to get others involved. I like Luke Walton. I like Magic Johnson. I like Lamar Odom. All the guys who like to share I like LeBron James for the same reason, share the rock, hit the open man. You're playing good basketball at that point. So, I prefer the Marc Gasol skill set to the DeAndre Jordan. It's so funny, I'm only going to say this here this one time, but I can remember with great fondness when both JaVale and McGee and Dwight Howard were no longer on the Laker rosters, and LakerTom was dumping this and dumping that and dumping this player and dumping that player and dump.
Well, they dumped everybody but three. They dumped everybody but three this year.
2.0 of that same situation, except for that DeAndre Jordan isn't half the winner that JaVale McGee is, because he's never been a part of a championship anything. The only thing he won was the rights to tell Mark Cuban he hid himself in his own house with Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, and Doc Rivers while they watched Netflix or whatever they did back then. I don't know. I think you would have gotten DVDs in the mail from Netflix back then, if I remember correctly. That was about the DVD in the mail era of Netflix, if I recall. And so we're back with a lengthy, not as mobile as maybe you want, not as athletic and jumpy as maybe you want, and JaVale McGee center, and Dwight Howard 3.0 on the Lakers. So it's interesting to. I am not a fan of the DeAndre Jordan signing at all. I don't understand why we would. If there's other players that are younger that do what he does, and so I don't see him as being like one of those guys who brings something and takes like a maybe not as winning culture and pushes it over the edge to the winning culture side, like Jared Dudley obviously did, and we hope Rajon Rondo will do. I would have just preferred to keep Jared Dudley, frankly, which is astounding for me to say because I thought that Jared Dudley didn't have much to bring to the basketball court and was only a mentor role. But here we are. And we don't have a team that needs mentors, right? Like all of our team is old. There's not – it's like we don't need five guys telling Kendrick Nunn or Malik Monk what to do, right? Like, hey, Monk, you should – we don't need a bunch of guys like yelling at him. So it's to me a stupefying sighting. I don't see any logic in it at all. I don't get it, frankly. Unless like somebody in the Laker front office lost a bet to DeAndre Jordan, was like, all right, dude, like we'll bring you on the team if you hit 10 free throws in a row while you're drunk, and then he did it. I don't know. I don't know where this is coming from. When the rumors started flying around, I was like, why? Why? Because we already had Dwight Howard. We already have a more mobile, a more athletic, better dunker, better shot blocker, all of it. So unless there's concerns about Dwight's age, which I guess are legit, and maybe somebody's been playing with DeAndre Jordan in the offseason and they're like, oh, he switched to a no-steak diet and he's killing it. No more fettuccine Alfredo chicken dinners or whatever. I don't know. Like, I those are the only things that I can fathom, that somebody like, who actually plays is like, take a look at that DeAndre Jordan guy again. For the vet men, he's not the worst signing. So that's my hope, is that, he's put the last 4 injury-plagued seasons behind him. And is ready to contribute at a level anywhere near what he ever did as a Clipper.
Well, he has, with 100 dunks, I think he's got Marc Gasol beaten pretty well as far as offensive gravity, vertical gravity. And I also think rim protection is the other major factor, that the Lakers didn't have any rim protection at all when AD was not playing the 5. And so I think that it gives him some of the same things that JaVale McGee gave him: defense from protecting the rim and so forth. A couple of things. I heard a great story about Marc Gasol that I'd never heard before. Apparently, Mark had gotten the news that the Lakers had traded, for his brother Pau, and Pau was going to go over there and play with Kobe and so forth. And Mark was all excited, thought that was terrific. And you have to remember that Mark was drafted by the Lakers, so he thought he was going to be there too. And then it was about 15 minutes later when they apparently told him, Oh, by the way, the guy that they traded your brother for was you. So, and this is the second time now that we've traded Mark to the Grizzlies, which is a pretty amazing little thing. You know, I share all three of your concerns about DeAndre Ayton, but I do think that there is an element of truth that we were trying to revert back. And as Jamie pointed out, I definitely had dumped Dwight and dumped JaVale mercilessly last year. But I've been in favor of bringing Dwight back all year. I think it's important. You know, a lot of my reactions to the center situation are that I'm a big believer in having a stretch five, especially with three superstars that aren't good three-point shooters. You need to get as many shooters as you can in the lineup. Will it matter? You know, think about the Marc Gasol situation, because even when you get to the end of the year and he wasn't playing well and so forth, and you go through the whole season, the starting lineup with Marc on it had a positive net rating all year long. That's not going to happen if they start with DeAndre Jordan.
DeAndre Jordan. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not going to happen if they start with Dwight Howard.
Yeah, probably.
Or is it? Because one thing I don't think everybody realizes is how good this team is going to be in the regular season for one simple reason. Just the relentless motor of Russell Westbrook. I mean,
and talent.
you when you've got three guys starting, and it's Russ and AD and LeBron, and frankly, I could take any two guys off the Laker lineup, I think, and stick them in there, and that starting lineup is still going to have the best net rating, probably one of the best net ratings on the team, because it's going to be the only time when we're playing those three guys together.
Well, let's
starting and ending games.
Let's face it, Tom. That game feature, I think it is the first regular season game, is Russ versus Steph.
Oh, that's.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe the Lakers are playing the Warriors opening night.
I'm pretty sure you're right.
Well, I'm just going to say right now that it's wait and see, but with DeAndre Jordan now on the team, we have to consider the fact that this is trying to run it back, even though DeAndre Jordan is not quite as good. I know LakerTom might be crazy, think I'm crazy when I'm saying this, but DeAndre Jordan is not JaVale McGee, because JaVale McGee is still an individual who, even at a comparative age, still has retained quite a bit of his athleticism. And the reason why he is gold medal winning Olympian JaVale McGee is because of the fact he is still able to go ahead and guard somewhat out on the perimeter. He's still able to do some things that he was able to do in his Golden State years. He's still able to go ahead and be very athletic. The fact that he is still not having to go ahead and rely upon minimum contracts is the fact he can still go ahead and provide that block shot threat from behind, right when somebody's going to be able to go ahead and get around the guard, somebody's able to go around and get it out forward. They're able to still go ahead and use JaVale McGee as a back line of defense, and he's still very good at that part of it, even though he's always hunted blocks. We all know this, sometimes to the chagrin of some defenses, because it doesn't always work that way. But again, he is who he is, and the reason why it worked so well in the Lakers was he was not only just a lob threat, but it was great having not one but two real block shot threats. In fact, it almost seems like at times they were having a competition between him and Anthony Davis on block shots and how many they would get during the course of a game. It was kind of interesting to see how the Lakers were leading the league in the block shots and just seemed to key in on that defense and also create a lot for the transition. That's something that we don't talk about enough of, and that I stress a lot. The Lakers are in their best position and will be in their best position when they're in transition, especially with Russ there. But one of the ways you do that is by having a back line and the perimeter back line of the defense that you're going to go ahead and, the intimidation factor, or just be able to create those turnovers and create those block shots. And the only way to do that is to have those vertical threats. And DeAndre Jordan, is he still that vertical threat? I don't know. As Jamie
They averaged
pointed out,
1.9 blocks per game last season.
no, it's
1.1.
1.1.
1.1.
It's only 1.1. He and Gasol had the exact same number of block shots per game.
Oh,
That's
God.
why I'm concerned.
1.1.
Yeah, but the nature of the blocks are different because Mark's all occurred at the waist and JaVale's occurred up at the rim. You know, there's a big difference there.
He said it, not I. He said it.
I know. I heard it, and I'm still in disbelief.
Okay.
Yes, of course. I guess one's a steal then, right? If it's down by the waist, does that not qualify? I don't know. Okay.
LakerTom, I mean, this is something that you have been very adamant about not going back to, is this type of committee, center committee, because it takes away from who should really be at the number 5 position. Mm-hmm. I get that. I understand that. But obviously Frank Vogel and Rob Pelinka, they don't get that. They
Do you think so? Do you really think so? Here's two pieces of evidence that I find in contradiction. The first is everybody says that this is LeBron James' team, and if you want to do anything, you run it by LeBron. Well, apparently they didn't run by LeBron not bringing back
your favorite,
my favorite, best 15th man of the year, 15th man on the roster in Jared Dudley. So that was really a surprise that LeBron would not be part of that decision. Or was he part of the decision and decided that we need a shooter instead of a mentor? Then there's a second situation, which is we wouldn't have traded for Russell Westbrook without talking with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, who met with him and who, from all accounts, they all discussed the whole issue of the lack of shooting if the three of them are playing together on the court, and Davis saying that he was going to play a lot more center. So I haven't heard anybody from the Lakers front office or coaching staff say anything about the rotation or who's going to start at center. And I don't think that Frank normally announces that type of stuff ahead of time, you know. Everybody knows that it's going to be LeBron, AD, and Russ, and two guys. Okay, nobody knows who the two guys are going to be. But I suspect that there's a clear understanding from the Lakers management and coaching staff based upon the fact that they made the Russell Westbrook trade after the three superstars had talked. I think that's a pretty good understanding that at the least, Anthony Davis is going to play as much 5 as he played last in the championship season. He's not going to be playing the 10 and 20% that we saw last year. And I think there's a good chance still that he's going to start. And if he doesn't start, whoever starts in his place is going to have to make sure that they maintain a strong net rating for that lineup if they have any hopes of going down the road. And the thing to remember about when you get enthralled with JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard's statistics is they both were benched by the end of the playoffs. They both got played off of the floor. They both, and their replacements will get played off of the floor this year. The only reason that didn't happen last year is because AD was sick. AD was injured and LeBron was injured. I would throw in that there is also a fourth person who can play center on the Los Angeles Lakers. And imagine a lineup with LeBron James and let's say Carmelo Anthony and three of those other shooters, you know, Nunn and Ellington and you know, you have a combination there where you could put LeBron down in the post and have 4 shooters outside on him. And man, they're going to be impossible to cover LeBron. And we saw some of that action during the year where LeBron was really focusing on posting up. And I think that's one of the things that the Lakers are also trying to do with the whole new alignment of AD playing the 5, which is to get LeBron and AD to stop shooting threes and get closer to the basket and start playing post basketball, low post basketball. because we've got the shooters now, if we put them outside and spread them, that can create real one-on-one situations for both of those guys down low in the post. And I like the idea of getting them closer to the basket. When Russ drives, if he can get to the rim and just get the ball up off of the glass, that is almost a pass. That's almost a pass or a lob to a dunk when you've got guys like AD and LeBron playing the 4 and 5 and closing in on the rim at that point in time. So it's going to be an interesting situation. And right now I'm feeling about 50-50. I really think there's a 50% chance that the Lakers are all in on AD starting. He may only play the first 6 minutes and then go off and then come back and may play the last 6 minutes. May just be 12 of his 36 minutes that he plays starting of each half. But I think he's up for it. I think Frank is probably up for it too. And I think that it's going to be a situation where this is a superstar-driven league. The superstars already talked about how they're going to play. Don't discount that too quickly.
Well, and it's also the individual motivation for Anthony Davis this year as well. Look, we all know Ben Simmons was he could have won Defensive Player of the Year, but he collapsed in the playoffs, and nobody's going to buy his stock right now. Rudy Gobert, I believe now, is a 3-time winner of Defensive Player of the Year. He still hasn't made it to an NBA Finals. If Anthony Davis is motivated this year defensively, he will be a clear-cut winner for Defensive Player of the Year, no doubt.
Well, no doubt indeed. We're going to be taking a look at this team, how it's unfolding. Right now, there are 13 spots on the roster, guaranteed spots. There's still 2 open spots remaining. Who are they going to be? Are they going to be left open? We're going to discuss that in upcoming episodes. Hopefully that will be rectified in one way or another, or you leave them open for buyouts and things of that nature. Hopefully better buyouts than DeAndre Jordan. We'll wait and see. But guys, before we head on out, please, it's time to pitch your wares at Lakerholics.com. So I want to bring it over to you, my friend, Mr. Jamie Sweet, the guy behind 5 Things, who does such a great job with that. And again, we're hinting that we might be doing some late night stuff in the future for Lakers Fast Break. So looking forward to that. Because you said you wanted to do, you're a night owl. You're a night owl.
So, and I often wake up after I put my kid to bed. So that's the real thing, is that when I'm hanging out with my daughter for her final waking hours, I usually fall asleep for a little bit and then wake up and I'm like, well, now I am awake.
Welcome to old age, my friend.
I know.
Welcome to old age.
I swear I'll get a disco ball if we do it for this season. I mentioned it last year and I didn't make good on that promise. So if we do late night, I'll get a little.
You failed me, man. You failed me. There you go.
Well, now that makes both of us letting each other down, doesn't it, Gerald?
Yes, I know. I'm sorry, but clean as a baby's bottom there, soft and smooth.
I have a
all I'll
baby
say.
at the bottom, and I don't believe that for 1 second.
Shea butter is amazing, Jamie.
There you go. It's called shaving cream. There you go.
God. Well, that's what my 5 great things will be about. The 5 great things that would have been if Gerald had kept his beard. No, I joke. I don't have anything direct. I'm kind of waiting to see how we fill out the roster. I've got, kind of marinating in my brain. I've got there's a definite, we signed a lot of guys. It's like basically a whole new team. And we're really, if you look at news on the Lakers, it's what's happening with Marc Gasol and what's this DeAndre Jordan thing. And nobody cares about Kendrick Nunn, Carmelo Anthony, Kent Bazemore, Trevor Ariza, Malik Monk, all these other guys we got who I hope have bigger roles than DeAndre Jordan does. Because if that doesn't happen, then I think we're going to be in huge trouble, especially in the playoffs. I think that all of this talk about the conversation that Russ and I would, a lot of it has been hearsay and and they did this thing and a lot has been extrapolated from that. And I would not be too surprised if it mainly centered around what they do in the playoffs, because the 3 of them together, if they're healthy, are going to get into the playoffs. Like, it's just a matter of where. Is it 4? Is it 2? Is it 7? Is it 1? The only question is the seeding. So,
and they have
I
no
don't think-
competition in the West either, too, with all of the injuries of their main competitors.
Well, let's just see how Clay comes back, and let's see how Jamal comes back. And I feel like Dame time is going to be pretty motivated.
Kawhi's not going to come back.
The Clippers I've never considered to be a serious threat to be anything except break out of the mediocre bubble that they've lived in for their entire lives. So once they do that,
The competition for us is in the East this year. It's the Bucks and the Nets.
You should probably worry a little more about the Dallas Mavericks, I feel like, and you should probably worry a little more about Phoenix. And I would say, of all, everybody has to, per the Hoops God edict, you must pay reverence to the current champion. And so, everybody better give Milwaukee their due, or they risk angering the basketball gods.
So I think there's a team that is really sneaky, and if an injured player of theirs comes back, possibly in the second round of the playoffs, aka the Denver Nuggets, if Jamal Murray comes back and they're firing on all cylinders, watch out. Gerald said it before he got injured. They were playing like a championship caliber basketball team, and I happen to agree with them.
They were undefeated, I think, for a stretch right after they got Aaron Gordon, and they were playing unbelievable basketball. And then also the fact that during the regular season, they're going to get an inordinate amount of games, one, because of where they're at in the high altitude, and the same thing goes for Utah. And I think that's if the reason why Utah might be ahead of Lakers at the as far as their regular season, if they are, it would be mainly because of that, because they have such a great record at home. People got to say, you know what, it's just a factor. It's just a given that Denver and Utah just play better at home than a lot of other people. It's like Philadelphia.
Yep.
If Philadelphia is competing in the East during the regular season, it's simply because of the fact that they are so darn good at home over the past 3 years that it makes it hard for other teams if they're not focusing at home, like the Lakers. Staples Center is not an undefeated place for them. They played really mediocre basketball at times at Staples Center. And LakerTom will even admit to that, because we've seen some frustrating losses. In fact, they play much better on the road over the past 2 seasons than they have at home. So
they play better in the bubble.
Yeah, they play better in the bubble. I mean, it just goes to show you right there. I mean, just when the Lakers focus, you see what happens. And the Lakers seemingly on the road the past 2 years or 2 seasons, I should say, that have really focused more on the road than they have at home. I mean, just an amazing amount of surprising losses at the Staples Center. But again, I don't know if that's going to be the case. We're going to go ahead and look at it in the coming weeks and see where they line up. But I would not let Phoenix or, like you said, Dallas, who, if they get an MVP-like performance from Luka Doncic, it's going to be right there in the mix. And if KP is going to get healthy and right, could and actually end up being a solid number 2 is what they hope for in Dallas. You never know right there. But, yeah.
Lakers will win 70 games.
Did you? What?
He just said the Lakers will win 70 games, which I'm not sure what that's in response to.
I may have lost my hearing in Hawaii. I don't know. I tell you.
I have them more in the 62, 65 range. I think 62 is a good number. That would mean they only lost 20 games all season. I think we'll be bad in one or the other back-to-backs. I remember 2 seasons
I think Vegas has them at 54 or 55 right now.
That's a little low in my opinion. I feel like that means we probably dropped some winnable games, and I hope that this squad is motivated.
And also, they're not going to – LeBron and AD are not going to play 82 games.
I really hope not. I honestly, if I'm being honest, and I know it won't happen because LeBron has that kind of Kobe gene in him that makes him feel that he has to
play for the fans.
He's got to play for the yes, exactly. So I would love it if he didn't play in the second game of back-to-backs this season. Like just that. Like no other load management. Like just don't play 2 games in a row. Let the body get right. Like stay right. Be ready.
If you get 70 games from LeBron, I think that's a good number.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I glanced at
You
the
have
schedule.
that's one of the big advantages of having a big three, though. Because
Agreed.
if you
No, I
saw what
thought
happened to the Nets. They were able to take guys and give them a day off because you got 3 superstars. You still go out with 2 superstars and beat them almost every team that you play. As long as you got 3 when you meet the big competitors, you'll be fine.
Yeah, well, they didn't. They never really.
Yeah,
they never ever did.
Well, they ended up with
that,
1.5.
That's what I would like to avoid. I would like to avoid that with us.
Half a superstar doesn't work, as we found out.
Yeah,
But
you know, you got Harden. Harden was the half with his gimpy hammy.
But you're working on some things for your column, but you're just seeing how everything is playing out, correct?
Yeah, I mean, we're letting some things marinate. I actually, I'm really excited to see Russell Westbrook play. But my second favorite newest Laker, to be honest, just without seeing anything at all, is Carmelo Anthony. I've always liked Carmelo Anthony's game. I thought that it was a freaking tragedy when he was not in the league for over a year. I thought that was one of the great sport injustices of our time, to be honest. And in terms of like a league saying, it's like after Colin Kaepernick, it's like Carmelo Anthony, and for reasons that don't even make sense. Like the dude could always, like, who doesn't need somebody to score in a basketball team? Like how the Charlotte Hornets never like, hell, let's give Carmelo Anthony $5 million. Like I will never understand that. So that's just one of the mind-boggling things of the last 10 years in the NBA. But I'm really excited to see Carmelo Anthony play with LeBron. I have a sneaky suspicion that if AD starts, and I've long since the beginning said that the biggest impediment to AD starting at the 5 is not so much AD not wanting to play the 5, but LeBron probably not really wanting to play the 4 against some guys. Small ball lineup, sure. I don't think LeBron cares where he plays, but he doesn't want to bang against Julius Randle. He doesn't want to bang against some of the big. He doesn't want to not for the whole game. For a few minutes at the end of the half, a few minutes to close out the game. Yeah, sure, of course. That's different. But like to start the game and like start it off getting pounded and start the game off against a bruising guy like Zion, I don't see. I think that I as a coach and as a fan, I don't want to see that. Like I want LeBron to be at his best at the end of the season when he will certainly do whatever it takes to win a basketball game. So that's my hope for the season. So that means that we might see a little more Carmelo Anthony at the 4 rather. And you could even argue that Carmelo Anthony could be a small ball 5. I mean, just stick him under the basket.
Ariza could play the 4 too. That's basically what he's been playing.
I know, but I feel like that's one of the reasons he hasn't had positive seasons. I feel like he's really kind of fallen off with that kind of wear and tear on his body, and it kind of shows up in the games missed and his sort of stat lines over the not a lot has been asked of him either on the last couple of teams he's been on. So that's I have a
context is really important.
I agree. So I feel like we have better options at the 4, but not a lot of options at the 4, which is why wouldn't mind seeing us get another mid-sized player, somebody around 6'10".
We already have 10 new players, man.
Well, we got 2 more
guys, and frankly,
I know, but
I'm
we're going to get 2 more.
What every one of them can do, because there's some really I think the floor that we have this year compared to previous years is much higher, assuming that we're still healthy. And I think the ceiling, I don't even know what the ceiling is for this team. A lot of it just depends on whether these 3 guys can gel.
Yeah.
If they can't gel, we all know we've seen lots of teams or if they get injured, we've seen that before. But I don't know if I've seen a situation like this where if these 3 guys could gel, and you have to be honestly to say the same thing about the 3 guys on the Nets. If those 3 guys can gel, if those 6 guys can gel, and they're healthy, we're going to have one of the best finals that we've ever seen.
And I know, Tom, you're a little worried coming into the season that we don't quite have enough trading chips somehow. But I will say this.
Trading chips
I'll say this.
My bigger concern is.
Well, I will say this. If Russ struggles, there is always the possibility of a Dame for Russ straight up swap with whatever it takes to grease the wheels of that. I know you usually try to fit like a bunch of contracts in for one player. In this case, you should maybe look at 1-for-1 deals throughout the league.
You've got THT at 10 and none at 5. That's $15 million. That can get you an $19 million player.
Yeah.
Throw
that
in
doesn't
one
really
of
move the
the
needle.
minimum guys, and you can get a 20. Throw in one of the minimum guys, and you can get Buddy Hield for the
Sure,
same amount of
but
money.
that would be interesting. You know, if Luke Walton is in a Coach of the Year mode, you might see that.
Well, yeah, there's Buddy's still probably one of the guys that gets moved this year, I think. But it might stretch over into the trade deadline. But
Same
there's
with
an
Miles.
interesting article Sam Quinn just posted, and I put a link to it in Lakerholics, talking about how cap space is all of a sudden becoming a lot less important to teams.
Mm-hmm.
And we're seeing the sign and trade being the mechanism to make sure that you don't lose those free agents for nothing.
Right.
And
that's true. That's a good point.
and part of it I think is too that everybody was sort of saving money up for Giannis, and then when Giannis signed, it was like,
well,
who
what
are
are
you
we
saving
saving
the
money
money
for?
up for now?
Right.
You're saving it up because you think Kawhi's going to leave, or LeBron and AD are going to leave, or one of the Nets guys, if they're signing long term, are going to leave, or that you're going to be able as a free agent to get Dame to come to your team rather than trading. That's never going to happen. They're never going to let him get to free agency. You can't do that. And so that's what's happening in the league, that it's the trade now that's becoming the big deal. And the Lakers are short of trading chips. When you got 8 guys on minimum contracts, what are you going to do? We'll give you these 5 guys for your one, mid player.
Who are all to a man over 30. They're all over 32 actually.
Right, yeah.
I want to say, like, there's
and the ones that we can trade are our 20-year-old and a 23-year-old.
Right. No, right.
That's the $15 million. So
the sides of the bookshelf are quite full. There's just some space in between that's a little. You got to just keep dusting there and hope somebody puts a little ivory statue.
And obviously we are in a win now mode 100%.
Well, yeah, no, as soon as LeBron got here,
the bring it back thing it started so funny. The first thing they said after they were eliminated is, we're going to try to bring the team back. Well, they brought it back. They brought back LeBron, they brought back AD, and they brought back THT. And they left everybody else, including Caruso. They said, goodbye. That's it.
Yeah. that one may come back to bite him a little bit, but we'll see. But that's anyway, Joe. That's what I'm working on right now.
Well, there is areas of concern when it comes to the backcourt defense. I really have some concerns in regards to that, but that's for another conversation for another day. But before we head on out, our Lakers historian, that is the man indeed, Mr. Sean Grice, a.k.a. MagicMan, the male model now of LakerHolics.com. Wanted to ask you this, my friend, before we head on out, what you working on at LakerHolics.com. Is it a Wang Zhelin bio?
No, that's on the menu, but it's not I'm not ready to put it in the oven yet.
Okay, because I'm watching.
Just watch the highlights and you won't want to worry about it at all.
I'm watching the highlights right now when he scored 51 points.
He scored 51 points, and he looks like Marc Gasol on the court.
Wow.
He is not a fleet of foot. Yeah.
No, he doesn't jump. It's a two-handed dunk. He can barely get off of the ground. And
so
half of the highlights, I only watched the first half of the highlights because half of the highlights are missed shots. Or missed free throws. I don't know where he got 51 points.
But Raphael likes him, so that's something in his corner.
So before I sign off, guys, I just wanted to say that I had an epiphany during this podcast, which is great because now I have something to really sink my teeth in from a historical perspective. It's funny hearing Lob City again. I'd just like to point out from my main man, the all-time great Sean Kemp, that most of Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan's dunks were actually tap-ins. They would tap the ball.
Rather than lobs.
Yes, and so they mischaracterized them as Lob City. Sean Kemp and Gary Payton were Lob City.
That's true. Remember it well.
Yeah. And a thread down there, we're talking about why Dwight Howard and didn't get along with Philly, and Tom is right. There was misfits all over the court, but the main reason was, for some reason, Doc thought he could put Ben Simmons and Dwight Howard on the court together, and magic would happen. And you can wish in one hand and in the other, and that's what happened to Doc.
Yeah.
And then as we go further down this thread, I'm going to be talking about grit and grind. As a Laker fan, unapologetically, I really loved their style of play when they weren't playing us. And grit and grind needed a central nervous system, and that was Marc Gasol.
Yeah, but unfortunately, his career may be at an end here in the NBA. He may be brought back, or he may want to come back at some point in time down the road, maybe later this season, even with an NBA team. We'll wait and see. But I don't know. At this point in time, and we may be seeing the last of Marc Gasol. He's happy now in Spain, I guess, according to all reports. So I wish him all the best. I'm hoping he and brother Pau will actually team up in Europe, and hopefully they will end their careers together. That's my deepest wish. I appreciate the fact that he did give a go with the Lakers, and unfortunately didn't come to fruition the second time around. But I wish him and his family all the best. And DeAndre Jordan, we'll see what happens with that. I know the speculation begins as far as it's concerned, but before we head on out, it is going to be the man indeed. He has a lot of articles that are coming your way that are locked in the chamber, as our good friend, once again, Rafael Barlow would say. It is LakerTom. What you working on before we head on out at Lakerholics.com?
I'm actually working on an article about the center situation. So that'll be out hopefully tomorrow. And the article actually does look at all four options that we have for center, including LeBron James. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think we've got the 28th of September. Is that when training camp starts?
Yep, we're about 3 weeks out.
And
well,
October
the first day they take pictures. The second day they do the press stuff, and then
then the first preseason game is October 3rd. So
they get around to practicing at some point in time. Yes.
Tom, what will your emotional state be if for the first preseason game there's AD at the 5?
The truth of the matter is that I think that it probably isn't going to matter, because I think the team is going to be so dominant with the three superstars in the lineup and with Russ pushing the pace that I think we're going to have. I think we could put Gerald at center and we'd still have a positive net rating for the start of the game.
You better say that. You better agree with that there, Jamie.
Now, I will deny that I've ever said this, so you better hold on to this tape.
No, it's live right there.
No,
as they used to say, it's live on Memorex. There you go.
God.
No, but I do feel that I think more than anything else, if you were to talk about what my emotions were as the season starts, I don't think I've been as excited about any Lakers team that has such a wide range of possible outcomes. You know, this team could totally be disastrous, simply because you've got three superstars who can't shoot the ball, basically. But on the other side, you've got three superstars that, while they may not be great three-point shooters, they are so great at so many different areas, including playmaking, scoring. Each one of them has talent to be considered a top 5 player at their position. And I think that the Lakers are going to be spectacular. I think that they've made good moves toward making sure that the chemistry will be better than it was last year. I think they learned their lesson from Andre Drummond about promising playing time and so forth as a part of a recruitment tool. And I think that there's just so many ways that they improved the offense with the addition of Westbrook and the shooters that they added. And I still think that they can put 2 guys in there with those 3 superstars, and they'll have just as good a defense as they did last year. So I'm extremely optimistic. looking forward to the podcast that we're doing with Gerald this year, other things that we're going to be planning for LakerHolics.com. And I can't wait to get going.
Can't wait to get going indeed, yes. But you can find out what Sean, Jamie, and LakerTom are doing at LakerHolics.com. I do want to make mention of the fact that Brooklyn is not exactly a bunch of spring chickens either. They're kind of old on the back end as well. I mean, every available old all-star is seemingly on the Lakers or the Nets at this point in time.
Well, we got younger with DeAndre.
How old is he?
I know.
We got rid of 35. We got rid of a 35-year-old and got a 32-year-old.
Well,
got
let me
2
put
years.
this, okay, but that
2
makes the
years.
average age 31 for the Lakers. If that article is correct, I just brought up. If that's the case, in the average Laker,
I've
is
always been a
31.
big fan of old people.
Well, okay.
Having being old myself, you know.
Do you know that their combined age is 403 years old?
403 years old.
403 years old.
And their combined career earnings are $2.2 billion.
Yeah,
Wow,
absolutely.
that's a lot. That's a lot of coin. That's a lot of coin on old coin on the
$2.2 billion.
And not all of it is from DeAndre Jordan. Let's just put it that way. When he was locked up in a Dallas.
Hey, every one of the guys that's on that list, with the exception of THT and none, every one of those guys has made like generational money over their career.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Somehow DeAndre Jordan got the best of Mark Cuban. I'll never understand that.
Yep, that he did indeed. But we will be continuing to talk about the team. There is 2 available spots. Will they fill them? Will they not?
Yeah.
I hope that they will go ahead.
Luxury tax will eliminate the 15th spot unless they desperately need it during the season.
Well, I want to see them actually go out and do what Portland's doing and a little bit what the Clippers are doing, actually signing NBA veterans to non-guaranteed roster spots to see if any of them will stick. That would be kind of cool to see if there's some actual names out there still. I mean, Portland is beginning a ton of individuals that they are competing in camp for, so it'd be interesting to see if the Lakers could do the same kind, because I don't have any real hopes right now for the two-way guys, because I think the two-way guys are really a long ways away from being able to contribute. We saw that in Summer League, so we'll see what happens. But right now we're at 13 guaranteed players. Mr. Marc Gasol is no more. We wish him all the best. Mr. DeAndre Jordan's here. Mr. Rondo's here. And we'll be talking continuously about the Lakers. And if you have any questions for us, or if you have a list of your top 10 all-time Lakers, please share them at LakerHolics.com or send it to us at LakersFastBreak on Twitter or LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com, but preferably LakerHolics.com. Please, the best place to go for anywhere in the world for Lakers conversation is LakerHolics.com. Well, guys, great to have you here. Great to have you once again back. I'm back myself from the islands. Got sans beard. Sorry, Jamie. But we'll see what we can do to go ahead and continue to talk Lakers. I know he's got thumbs down going right now, so I'm sorry. But hopefully Jamie will get over it in the coming weeks and months as we continue to talk Lakers.
I don't think I will, Gerald. I don't think I will.
Well, still come on the show anyways. It'll create a nice argument for us.
That's fine.
I have a small permanent stubble now, just because it's more convenient than shaving everything.
You're like Homer J. Simpson.
There you go. You rebel indeed.
So I'm a semi-beardless bearder.
Yeah, there you go. A bearder or a balder. That should be the title of this episode. But no, I don't think that'll get
My dad didn't go bald either.
Nor downloads. There you go. But
how about your dad, Gerald?
He unfortunately has passed away, unfortunately due to the almighty cigarette. His years, unfortunately.
Was he bald or not?
No, he was thinning, which is not a great sign, but he never did go bald, thank goodness. So it gets short like mine. I think that's probably the best word. The best representation right now is the way his hair is to mine. So I'm thankful for that. But everybody out there, hey, even if it's just to tell us if you're bald or you still got hair, please let us know. Just talk to us. LakerHolics.com, at LakersFastBreak, or LakerHolics right there for you on Facebook, or LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com.
I thought we were going to get a lawnmower pitch now from you.
No, they don't. They no longer sponsor us. So again, they got to dish out the money first. But
I guess that went away though with Caruso.
Yeah, that did. But I still got it, and it still does a great job. But I just
So
don't
the
want to
lawnmower? They gave you a lawnmower?
It's
Yeah,
it's the Manscaped. It's the Manscaped.
Yes, the Manscaped lawnmower at 4.0. It's a great deal. I love it. Anybody wants to buy it, go buy it.
Does your
But
wife like it?
no comment. But I will say this: that it's been great having you guys on the show. Thanks so much for being part of us. I will say again, we will be back soon. Got some great shows coming up with Rafael Barlow, more with Joe Soar from the great LakersBall.com. And I'm going to go ahead and get more people out there that love their teams to tell us why they love their teams this year in the coming NBA, plus their thoughts as other teams fans on what the Lakers are going to do this season. So that'll be some great conversations coming up. And you'll be able to hear that along with us right here at Lakerholics, right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.